Like the unplanned pregnancy. For me, it was an unplanned pregnancy because for one, I didn't even think I could have children. I loved the children so much that I was like,
Yeah.
the way my life goes, I'm sure I wouldn't be able to have any. Well, he showed, like, take two now.
Just for doubting how to.
Exactly, exactly. And then there's the part with of course having to shelve your plans and all that. But I mean, I quickly accepted my responsibility because I said, I for one, I don't believe in abortion. So I was like, well, I'm having my children. You never know if the opportunity would not present itself again.
Exactly.
And with the way things going now, no man in sight. So I was like, you know what? It's a good thing. It's a good thing. So yeah, so that leads me to my next point about not being married or not being in a committed relationship and coming home to my mom and dad and saying I'm pregnant. I mean, I was 28, so I was a big woman.
Yeah.
But you're saying I'm pregnant, but they didn't expect that from me because everything for me is like clockwork. You plan out your life, how many years down the road, this is how things going to be. So when I
Yeah.
come to break this news to them now, I didn't know how to. I felt like a kid, no lie. And you just roll with the punches and really, really love your gems as they are, and you learn as you go. Because, yeah, you grew up with, your household of people. There were my sibling before me, she had children. So I kind of knew what parenting is like, but it's never the same unless you have your own.
Yeah, exactly. It's say my story is very similar.
Mm.
So I hear you.
I think that's why we're so crazy with this parenting thing. We had no guidebook.
Yeah, I'm the last of four, and all my siblings had kids before I had my first.
Mm.
So I thought I knew what I was doing, but no, 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 no. You forget that when it's your niece or your nephew, you could hand them back.
Correct. Correct. Or call up my sister, like, where are you? The child is crying. Who's gonna call me?
Exactly.
So it really was a different experience. One that I mean, it's welcoming because if you, by nature, you're a person who will nurture people and that kind of thing. So I would never look at my children as a mistake,
Yeah, yeah.
because I always believe they're God sent. And I think I jumped into the role. I was happy because it's like, oh my God, everybody was already um real happy to hear it's a twin because I don't have twins. We don't have twins in our family. Their father does not have twins in his family. So everybody wants to know where these two children come out.
So they identical?
Nah, fraternal. So it's a
And that
boy
is
and a
the
girl.
all right, and that is the genetic one when they're non-identical.
Correct. No,
So
if they're identical, it's the genetic one.
so oh, I don't know. I always
No.
thought it was the other way around. We'll have to Google it
Me
after.
too. Me too. All I know, when Doc had me up, first of all, he's telling me, you're pregnant. I said, what stupidness you telling me this other day? And then when we go for the ultrasound, he's like, but I see in two sacks. I said, so what does that mean? He said, you're having a twin, duh. I was like, what? Nikisha, I laughed for 10 minutes straight on that table because I was like, what are you really telling me, boy?
I if someone told me I was having twins, I would not laugh.
Yeah, girl.
I would
When I'm
tell I
very
want to die.
when I'm very nervous and in shock, I laugh hysterically, non-stop. So it was like, what? How am I going to do this, boy?
Oh
And it
God.
was it was very challenging. I wouldn't say it was a bed of roses. It started off well. It started off well. I was not sick a day in my pregnancy.
Me.
Um, yeah, I wasn't sick, and I mean, I was as one of my friends was telling me the other day, you look like a straw without that swallow a plum seed because I was very skinny. I wish I was that skinny now. I put on real weight, and girl, and so it's a situation where I started to enjoy the process. So I said, look at how God just he okay, I was in shock. I had to shelve my plans for studies at that point in time, but he made the process easy. in the sense that, you had an easy pregnancy and a lot of support as well.
Yeah.
So you can't ask for better than that. So accepting motherhood was kind of easy. And I'm assuming it was the same for you in terms of accepting motherhood with your first.
Yeah, so for me, it's fairly similar. So I had just graduated from university and just about to launch my career, applying for jobs. I had actually applied for a job in Paris,
Hmm.
and so I was always I did French at school, and I was always, my parents are bilingual, so French was always spoken a lot in the house. But I always wanted to be able to perfect it and get like really confidently fluent in it. So I had decided I'm going to apply for this job in Paris and sort of force myself into a French speaking atmosphere where I had no choice but to learn it.
Right.
And they had offered me a sort of tentative position that was based on my results for my degree. So I was just waiting to get my results. I knew they were going to be good, and so I had considered it like that job was mine. And I also was planning to leave the father of my child.
Oh, Lord.
I was planning to run away to Paris, more or less.
I know how that goes.
Yeah, so he had no idea, and then I
Oh.
found out I was pregnant. So I told my father. I was so nervous because I had, the week before I found out I was pregnant, I had actually got my results and I had done really well, and I called my father and was so excited to tell him this wonderful news. And then a week later I had to call and say, remember I had good news last week? Well, no.
Guess what?
And just like you, I wasn't 28, I was 23, but I wasn't a child.
Exactly.
I was still terrified to tell my father. And in the midst of me telling him that I was pregnant, I also said, but I don't want to be with the father. I want to leave. But I was too scared and probably too dotish, I don't know, to tell him the real reason I wanted to leave. And he asked, and I said, well, I just don't feel nothing for him anymore. And he's like, that is not a reason to leave somebody when you're pregnant. And
Oh, God, these old people, that is a reason. That is a very good reason. Shock.
yes, but I think if I had told him because the relationship was at that point, it wasn't physically abusive yet, but it was very much mentally and emotionally abusive in every way.
Oh,
Controlling. I was unhappy, but I was still in that zone when I was protecting this man. And my father is a big, strict man. I was worried what he would do if he knew the truth about what was going on. So I didn't tell him. I just said, well, I don't really love him no more.
Oh, my God.
And he started to say, you're pregnant, that's not a reason. You're going to France by yourself. And he was just worried, I guess.
Yes, of course.
And so he said, you need to try and make it work. So I did. And but the whole idea of whether I was going to keep the baby or not, that was never a question for me.
Right.
I completely believe that women have a choice. It's their bodies. They could do whatever they want. I don't have any problem with women who decide this is not for me, I'm going to abort, but it's not for me.
Agreed. That's my exact viewpoint. Exactly my viewpoint. Yep.
So that was just never even something that I thought about. So yeah, I feel I've always been quite maternal. So I'm the last of four. I always wanted a baby sister or baby brother. So my little cousins who are younger than me, I refer to them as my brothers and sisters because I used to mummy all of them and boss them around. And I just loved being in that mummy role. And my first niece was born when I was doing my A-levels. So I was 17 or 18. And my sister was in medical school at the time. So my niece more or less, so she was still at home. I was living at home. My sister, although she was in medical school, she was still at home with my parents because she went to UE. And so my niece was with me. So, and when my sister had her exams, because they were hard exams, obviously, she's going to be a doctor. I was the one who looked after my niece voluntarily. Like
Yes. Yes.
the onus was really on my mother as the grandmother, but I was like, no, I want to do it. That was just my thing. I loved that role. So a part of me was quite excited. What was for me, what was bad about it was that I didn't want to be in this relationship, and now I felt like I had to stick
Wow.
to it.
Especially if you told him and if he really wanted to hold on to you, that definitely was the ticket to say, well, you're
Yeah,
pregnant with my child, so you have to stay. And oh my
yeah.
God.
Well, I didn't actually tell him anything. He had no idea because
What?
I thought I didn't tell him I was planning to leave. I told him, so I just got pregnant and then that was it. You know, we
Yes.
just carry on like normal with the relationship. And then we got married after my son was born, and then I decided to leave after all of that. But for me, what happened was having a child sort of changed my way of thinking. At that point, I was thinking, do I want my son to grow up and think this is normal behavior?
Right.
So it was almost as if it was okay for me to get treated like that. Although it's not, I know.
Yeah,
But
no,
this is
yeah.
how my mind was
I
working.
understand that thought process because I think
Yeah.
my mom thought like that. She was like that person. She stayed in the marriage because there are children, and she had five of us. I was the second of five, but
Okay.
she stayed for the sake of the children, not realizing we were the ones suffering.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Like, you know, it's okay for me to deal with this. I'm grown up. I could look after myself. I could make decisions. I could decipher that how he behaves is actually wrong. But my child is going to grow up thinking this is normal, and he's going to treat his wife or
Correct.
husband or whatever, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
friends like this. And I didn't want to I felt, because I blamed my husband's mom for not leaving his father.
Ah, cyclical
Yeah,
and
I used to think, no,
generational.
he
Yeah.
had left his father because he was repeating the behaviors of his father. If he had left his father, he may have turned out to be different. Whether that's true or not, I think it's wrong now, looking back, to blame her.
Yeah.
Because the man is responsible for his own damn behavior. This is a lot of things we do. We always say, look at the woman and say, well, why are you with he?
True.
And we need to start changing that conversation. So, but this is what the things I used to think. So I was thinking, you know, I'm just becoming what I was saying, because I was very close to my ex-mother-in-law, and I actually used to say to her, why are you still with this man? And then I'm thinking, I spent all these years telling her that, and I'm going to do the same thing? No. So that's when I decided, as hard as it's going to be, I don't care. I don't want my son growing up thinking this is normal. And then so I left and started over completely, went back to Trinidad. I had a really good job. I had a really nice house, really nice car, left all that because I couldn't care about none of that stuff.
Yeah.
Went back to Trinidad with 2 suitcases, and that's it. I said to him, you could keep everything else. I'm bothered about any of it. So whatever I could fit in 2 suitcases was what I had, and that was
2 suitcases because you didn't want to pay overweight.
yeah. So I had 1 suitcase. I used to have an obsession with shoes. I don't have that obsession anymore, but I used to have I had this amazing shoe collection. So 1 suitcase was mainly full of shoes. I look back now and I just think, what the hell used to go through your head? And then the others, there was shoes, and my son he wasn't even 2 yet. So it was baby clothes that could fit between shoes. And next suitcase was like nappies for the plane. Well, I had a hand luggage too full of nappies, and just clothes was mainly summerish clothes because I was going back to Trinidad. And that was it. Wow. And then I came back and I just went shopping with my sister.
But I think, you know, the fact that you gave the marriage and the relationship another shot, it helped you really make up your mind that this is not what I want. This is not healthy for my child. And oftentimes you will see people staying in their marriages or their relationships and saying, hey, it's about the children, it's not about me. I don't understand. I don't understand
Yeah,
how people, how women will turn around and say it's for the children. They leave themselves, they let themselves go in any aspect of life just for the children. I love my children dearly, but I told them I cannot pour from an empty vessel.
yeah,
So
it's true.
obviously, I have to see about me. I'm not going to leave you all by the wayside. And I
Yeah,
mean, throughout their lives, we've had challenges, but at the same point in time, it's like my love for you would never change, and everything that I do is for the children, but it's not directly for them. So okay,
yeah,
when I got pregnant with them, it's not their fault, but I had to put my studies on the shelf.
yeah,
So now that they're a little older, I went back to school because I said, hey, I need to get a shit. This is part of my goals. So I went back to get it, and my mom had to intervene a lot of, not intervene, but she had to keep the kids a lot of times. She passed away in 2015. So I'm like, oh my God, where is she going?
yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, I have a lot of support from my sisters because we're very close and that kind of thing. But it was tough because, as we were saying earlier, when you have your own, there will always be that sense of, I need to do this. So I
Yeah.
felt myself just always running, rushing, rushing, rushing all the time. And I would get nothing done. Now, their father, their they always say to you, you have to know who you're lying down with. The man is not a bad man at all, but he's
Yeah,
not the man for me
yeah, yeah,
because you cannot communicate properly. And I'm somebody, if there's a problem, let us sit down and trash it out. May
yeah,
not be right away, but we need to get to the bottom of it. I never got that from him. Right now, we don't speak at all.
yeah,
But my kids live with him right now. For the past 3 years, they've been living with him. And I'm like, how I could not be speaking to you. You are the father of my children. The two
yeah,
best things that happened to me in my life, and you will just pass me straight us? That's
yeah,
madness. But I mean, he doesn't get in the way of the kids and my relationship because I see them every day. I made sure that my apartment is close to their where they live, so I see them every day. I pick them up from school. I everything I am
yeah,
involved in everything because I mean, it's part of who you are as a mother.
yeah,
But oftentimes I would have seen, and I felt badly when I had to part with my kids because I mean, I had a major setback in life. I lost my job. So I was like, I cannot maintain this house.
yeah,
So I had to downsize considerably. So I said, can they move in with you? Because I want them to be stable, you know?
yeah,
And that was a tough call, but you had to do it because at the end of the day, I'm looking out for the children.
yeah,
And many
yeah,
people may not have seen it like that because even guys that I meet, they're like, how come your children living with their father? Because it's not the norm. And so they're
yeah.
probably saying, what, me a delinquent mother or what? I was like, no, I am very much involved in their lives, but at the end of the
So
day,
unfair that women always,
you
that's the first thing you
understand?
would think. So if my children living with me, you don't think something wrong with their father?
This is the
Why it
thing.
always have to be the other way around?
Because this
But
is
it's
what,
true, this thing like people, this is a lot of maturity that it takes to co-parent.
hmm,
And most people not ready for that. My ex don't speak to me. Our divorce was very, very messy.
hmm,
And it was just, we talked, but it was just to cuss each other
oh
for
gosh.
years and years and years,
Hmm.
probably 5 years.
Wow.
And then we eventually, I think when I had my second child, he started to just leave me alone a little bit. And he actually messaged me once to tell me how I am so lucky to have my husband, how he liked my husband, and I did so well to choose my husband. So I think he had a little crush on my husband. So he started to leave me. He started to leave me alone a little bit because I think he respected him.
Nice.
So I've never earned his respect, but my husband has somehow.
What a lucky guy.
Yeah, I think it's because he's just a pure misogynist, so no woman
Mm,
could ever have his respect,
yeah.
but a man could.
Wow. Wow.
And then we started talking, even kind of like friends. He used to he would message me randomly just to say how you're going and just chat about nothing in particular. I used to be there waiting for him to ask me a question about our son, but it never came. So it was just like he was building this friendship with me.
Okay.
And I just let it happen because it was just so much easier than battling with him.
Agreed.
But then I wrote this blog on my This Is Real Mama blog about my life, and he read it, and I get lawyer letter. I get all kind of threat to get to sue me for defamation.
But you didn't call his name.
I was like, you're a lawyer, just thieving your money, dude.
He
Like,
chupid.
She knows she have no case, but you wanna pay her?
Yeah.
She will say, you're just taking your money because I never say your name. In fact, you are causing your own defamation by admitting that you identify with the man who I am describing in my blog. So you're causing your own self this stress.
We have such similar experiences because some time ago, when was it? Let's just say about 10 years ago, I wrote an article on Facebook talking about how does she do it? Because as a single parent, at the time, he was not very much involved in a kid's life. He will just come to visit, like if he's an uncle or something. And it was annoying to me because I'm like, it's two fucking children. I need your help.
Yeah.
Why are you depending on the fact that my mother or my sisters are always there, or their godfather or my friends are always around to assist